Hello and welcome in our YouTube channel Metallurgical Facts. We got many requests for creating videos on question practice related to WISAG RINL exam 2020. So from 2018, RINL were recruiting through the gate score basis till now. But from this year onwards, they will take their own exam and they will conduct their own exam. I'm sure you all must aware by the syllabus, so I will not tell much about those things. The main purpose of this video or this series is uh, to create a practice environment for RINL aspirants. In year 2017, they conducted their exam and they asked 100 question in core section, that is for 60 minutes. Okay, so mostly that time they asked the questions from gate previous year, from gate from gate previous year they asked. Okay, at that time also we did the practice through our Facebook page. So this year we are trying to create few videos in this series, and this will I am sure that this will help you guys in practicing those questions and for gaining the knowledge for RINL as well as GATE exam also. So subscribe our channel and press bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos. Now we will take our first question, that in heterogeneous nucleation, the radius of critical nucleus does not depends on. So in this question, they are asking about heterogeneous nucleation and the radius of critical nucleus. Okay, so these are the four options they have given. So now we know that formula for spherical particle, that is, if we will consider spherical particle, that r critical radius of nucleus is equals to minus 2 sigma delta GV. This sigma value is the surface energy of the interface between product and parent phase, and this delta GV is volume free energy, and this delta GV is equals to H into delta T by Tm, where this H is enthalpy change per unit volume of the product phase, and this T is degree of supercooling or undercooling. Okay, this Tm is melting temperature at equilibrium. Okay, so now we will replace this delta GV value by this value. Okay, so R value will be minus 2 sigma H into delta T multiplied by Tm. So from here we can see that this R value, that is a radius of critical nucleus, that depends on sigma value, that is the surface energy of the interface between the product and parent phase, this Tm, that is critical, that is melting point, and this H value, this is enthalpy change per unit volume of the product phase, and this delta T, that is undercooling. So the answer of this question will be contact angle, because this R does not depend on the theta value. Okay, however, in heterogeneous nucleation, we get the formula, that is delta G stick. If we will talk about critical Gibbs free energy, then this critical Gibbs free energy will depend on theta value. Okay, so for that we can write 4 by 3 pi sigma cube delta G V square and F theta, that is F theta is equals to uh, F theta value will be 2 minus 3 cos theta plus cos cube theta. So we can say that this delta G depends on the theta value, but this critical radius does not depend on R value, sorry, theta value. Okay, so answer of this question will be contact angle. Next question is the operation not associated with casting. So we need to identify which of these is not related to the casting process. So the first option is gating. Okay, so gating actually, this is gating system. Molten metal passes to enter into the mold cavity, that gating system allows. Okay, so gating system consists of pouring basin, sprue, runner, getting, and risers. Okay, so this is the part of casting. This operation is of casting. The next option is fettling. Okay, so fettling, what is fettling? Fettling is used for removing the unwanted element from the from the casting. Okay, from the casting. So removing of risers is also included in fettling part. So this is also the part of casting. Stack molding. Stack molding, as name suggests, is stacks of two or more mold parting the surface in for the casting purpose. So this stack molding is basically mostly used in plastic injection molding. Okay, so this is also part of casting. Next option is calendaring. We know that this calendaring is right, but what is the reason behind this? So we need to know the reason behind this. So we have seen everything for all other options. Okay, so calendaring. What is calendaring? Calendaring is basically related to the polymer processing. By calendaring process, we produce the thin film or sheet by this process. Okay, so calendaring is the right option, and this is not related to the casting. This is basically related to the polymer processing. Okay, so the right option of this question is calendaring. So the next question is the lattice parameter of face-centered cubic iron, that is gamma Fe, is equals to 0.3571 nanometers. The radius in nanometer of octahedral wide is in gamma Fe is. So we need to calculate the radius of octahedral wide. So we know the formula. We know the relation between the radius of octahedral wide and the radius of atom in FCC structure. So we know the formula, that is R wide by R atom is equals to 0.414. Okay, so we know this formula. So this is the formula which is applicable for this question. Now we know we need to calculate this value R wide, and we can find this R atom. How? We know the lattice parameter of atom, that is 0.3571. Okay, so we know this is FCC crystal structure, and we know the relation between the lattice parameter and radius of atom in FCC crystal structure, that is root 2a is equals to 4r. So as we will put the a value here, we will get the r value, that is r is equals to 0.1262. So we got this value. This is actually r atom. So as we will put r atom value here, we will get r wide, that is r wide is equals to 0.414 multiplied by 0.1262, and the correct and the then the answer of this question will be 0.0522 nanometers, as they asked in nanometers. So we will also find in nanometers. If they will ask in angstrom, we will find this value in angstrom. Okay, so this is the main formula which is needed for this type of question. So r wide upon r atom is equals to 0.414 is the relation between the r wide and r atom in FCC structure for octahedral wides. Okay, if they will talk about tetrahedral wide, then r wide is equals to, the formula is r wide is upon r atom is equals to 0.225. Okay, so this is for tetrahedral wide in FCC. Okay, the next question is the engineering stress strain curve for a ceramic material. They are asking about ceramic materials. So they have given the four options, that is parabolic, exponential, logarithmic, and linear. So whenever so we know that generally the ceramic materials are brittle in nature. So whenever we draw the stress strain diagram or curve for ceramic material, we get like that. This is stress, this is strain. So we get a linear curve for the ceramic material. Okay, so this is fracture point, and so the correct option of this question is linear. So the engineering stress strain curve for a ceramic material is linear. Okay, so one additional point is that if we will talk about the fracture point, so fracture point or fracture limit of the ceramic material is equals to the ultimate strength. Okay, ultimate strength of ceramic material, that ceramic material. Okay, if we will talk about fracture limit. Next question is, which one of the following element is an austenite stabilizer? Okay, so most of us know that the austenite stabilizers are mostly FCC crystal having FCC crystal structure. Okay, so we know that the elements which are having FCC crystal structure will promote the austenite phase. Okay, so that are also known as austenite stabilizers. Here, molybdenum having BCC crystal structure, tungsten having BCC and BCC crystal structure, vanadium having BCC crystal structure. Nitrogen is interstitial element. So nitrogen and carbon. These two are interstitial austenite stabilizers. Okay, and plus FCC elements are also austenite stabilizers. Okay, so the correct option for this question is nitrogen. Okay, so nitrogen is the right answer. How this nitrogen works as austenite stabilizer? Actually, when we add nitrogen or other FCC elements, what they will do that A4 temperature, they will increase that A4 temperature in iron carbon diagram, and they will lower the A3 temperature in iron carbon diagram. So by increasing the A4 and by lowering the A3, they will increase the region of austenite phase. So this is how they stabilizes the austenite phases. Okay, so most of the BCC crystal structures element are ferrite stabilizers, including the diamond cubic silicon. Okay, so here for this question, nitrogen is the correct option. Okay, next question is a matching question. The matching questions are very easy to do, and this is the direct questions from where we can get 2 marks in GATE exam, and for RINL they will give for 1 marks. Okay, so I always tell that for doing matching type of questions, we should not directly jump to the options. Okay, rather jumping on the options, we need to generate our own options through this part. Okay, so what we will do, we will write like that: P Q R S. Okay, so uh, from this given data, we will find that which one we know. Okay, so for this we will try to find the most commonly, or the odd one. Okay, so for suppose for this question, I know that Bayer's process is used for the purification of bauxite. So the P, so we will write P 2 for the P. Okay, so we don't suppose we don't know one alkyl iodide process. Okay, so Midrex process we know. Midrex process is the alternative route for iron production, and this is the product of this process is sponge iron. Okay, so R is 1, that is sponge iron. Okay, heavy media separation is basically mineral beneficiation process. Whenever we will do the ore dressing part, we will do this heavy media separation. Okay, for now we will choose the as heavy media separation as beneficiation process. Okay, so we didn't know the one alkyl iodide process, so we get that option purification, which is left, purification of zirconium. Okay, so the code for this question is 2413, and then we will move to the options and we will match that which option is correct. Okay, so 2413, the option C is C part is correct for this question. Okay, so one alkyl iodide process is also used for the purification of titanium also. Okay, so the next question is, the first three reflecting planes of silicon diamond cubics are. Okay, so they are asking about silicon and the first three reflecting planes of silicon diamond cubic. Okay, so if we won't move to the options, we will try to write that we know that that h square plus k square plus l square value, that is ratio h square plus k square l square values for the diamond cubic, that is 3:8, 11 and 16. Okay, so this three means this is the plane, that is 1 1 1. Okay, and this is the 2 2 0, this is 3 1 1. Okay, so now we know that this h square plus k square plus l square value ratio is 3:8 is to 11 is to 16. Okay, so we found that the reflecting planes for three reflecting planes of silicon diamond cubics are 111, 220, 311. Now we will check the option. So we find that option C is correct for this question. Okay, so if we know the h square plus k square plus l square ratios for the any crystal structure, so we can identify the we can identify the reflecting planes, of that question. Okay, thank you guys for your attention. Hope you guys have learned something new in this video, and we will try to add more and more videos if we will get positive response and valuable feedback from your side. Okay, so please give us feedback in comment section, and subscribe our channel and press bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos.